Hey, this is UFO Buster Radio. I am Manny Moonraker, and we're about to get this episode started right now. So get ready, because I'm going to cue the damn music. This is episode 122 of the UFO Report with your boy, Manny Moonraker here. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. So we're going to start this off with some news. Last week, we had a story from across the pond about some guy who said his wife was turned into a toffee crisp candy made by Nestle. That's right. A UFO space ray from crazy aliens turned her into a toffee crisp. So, there's a little more to the story. Now, that story was brought to you by the one and only Ronnie Dawson, who posted it on UBR Truth Seekers. And I'm telling you, because I say this every time, as a matter of fact, I think it was around this time in the last episode that I said the same thing. You got to go to UBR Truth Seekers and join if you're on Facebook. If not, sorry. Listen, do not be afraid of social media. It will not kill you. It will enhance your life one way or another. And, you know, Ronnie Dawson and myself, we are evidence of that, and some of you that listen as well. We had that story last week, right? We talked about this guy out in Essex, out in the UK somewhere, who said that his wife went missing. Well, her human form went missing. What was left behind when the aliens came through was a toffee crisp. And, I thought that at the time that we got this link, or actually the article itself, was that it was a recent thing. This actually happened in June of this year. And there was an update that was published not too long after the original report about this individual out there across the pond. So it turns out that the title of this article says, Toffee Crisp Wife Man Held for Murder. Now, okay, listen, let's just admit one thing. We all sat around listening to me talk while I was talking and talking to myself internally and talking to you guys, that this sounded like a bunch of rubber dickery. That's right. I just gave another verb to the term rubber dicker. It was rubber dickery. It turns out that this guy, Ray Peters, he's got money. Him and his wife had some dough. He owned a bunch of businesses, right? And he tried to convince people that his wife was basically zapped by an alien ray because she was missing, and they turned her into a toffee crisp because when he got home, she was missing, and that was the only thing was sitting there on the table. On the kitchen table was a toffee crisp. And according to him, he knows it was aliens because neither him nor his wife enjoyed that Nestle toffee goodness. So he said aliens did it. Now, it turns out, for those of you who were not buying into Ray Peters' rubber dickery, it turns out that the 62-year-old tried to cash in on a £2 million life insurance that was taken out on his wife last April. And that just happened to be 2 months before she disappeared. But that's not the only thing that happened, right? So the forensics people were on the case. Turns out that, he owns a lot of businesses, but they also found a wood chipper that was dumped in the lake near his home. Wow, imagine that. Do you think the missus ended up there and not inside the wrapping of a toffee crisp? I don't know. Could be. In addition to that, because, Mr. Peters stayed pretty busy, but at one of his businesses, they actually found fragments of teeth and hair and some blood. Now, we're not pointing fingers, apparently, because anything could have happened there, right? It could have been anything. She probably is a candy, but it turns out he's not going to have his just desserts and eat it too, because Ray also had a 19-year-old by the name of Hattie Maloney move into the couple's mansion right after his wife turned into a candy bar. You can't write this stuff. So E.T. got the blame for his wife being offed and the new girl moving in, which again, she's 19 years old. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the movie of the week for you guys. This has nothing to do with 4.24 aliens or anything like that. Apparently, Ray Peters got his little girlfriend to move in, and maybe she did or he did, or one of them convinced each other to off the wife. But neither one of them have enough smarts to not blame aliens turning her into a candy bar. So I don't know. I don't know what the update is right now, but he's probably awaiting his trial if it hasn't happened already. You guys out in the UK, let me know what happened to Ray Peters and the Toffee crisp debacle, and whether or not the 19-year-old is going to get or did get anything out of this, because it sounds like she got a lot of, like really negative, bad publicity. And I think she was kind of like a model or something like that, trying to make a name. Well, looks like she did, but this is not going to help her career in any way whatsoever. So, for those of you who were responding to the last podcast episode where we introduced the story of Ray Peters, take heart, you are not going to be turned into a candy bar, even if it's your favorite. It's just not going to happen. And some of us were even wishing to turn some other people into candy bars, which we don't really take kindly to. But that's on hold for now. We're going to have to wait. Now, another update that I have regarding some information that I received regarding the TR-3B and some videos on Look Now TV, which is a YouTube channel that covers a lot of the UFO stuff. And there's other videos on there too. But the UFO stuff is kind of popular with this guy. I looked at the video, and it's one of those things where I'm just going to leave it up to you guys. But just because I care, because I am Manny Moonraker, and this is the UBR UFO report, I included the link in the description, not only to the article regarding Ray Peters and his rubber dickery, but I also included the link to the video specifically relating to the TR-3B images or videos that were taken from mobile phones. Surprisingly enough, the videos, the majority of them, happened in Texas. Now, where the fuck is Manny Moonraker? He never sees any of these things. And who are these people? I'm telling you, sometimes I go out at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and I look at the sky constantly watching. I don't see shit. And these people are recording TR-3Bs. Something is wrong here. But there wasn't enough for me to say that the Look Now TV videos really are the TR-3B. But you're going to decide. You let me know. If you get a chance to watch it, or, you're sitting around farting around like Bug, the UFO hunter, does, you want to go ahead and click on the link and just look at the video and see what you think about what's going down at Look Now TV and the videos they received. Do I buy it that this really was a TR-3B? And it's more than one video. He kind of chopped a few different videos as evidence of the TR-3B. And these are apparently current. So these are not things from like 15 years ago. So you make the call. The link is in the description. Check it out. But let's move on to our next story, because this is another one where rubber dickery is afoot when it comes to ufology and UFOs. There is no doubt about it, unless you really read through some of these articles and you really look at what's behind them. You're going to get rubber dicked. There's just no doubt about it, because I had this article and I didn't get a chance to read it initially. So I decided, hey, no fucks given. I'm going to share this on all the social media. And I did. I put it out there. For those of you who follow me on social media, you kind of saw it. And the title might have intrigued you enough to go in there while you were on the shitter, or if you were out just screwing around and doing family stuff, enough for you to pause and click on it. Because the title was The White House Could Stage Public Hearings into Aliens Exposing the Truth Behind UFO Project. Now, it doesn't take a scientist. It doesn't take an entrepreneur or a well-to-do, well-known type of guy, or even the slightest person with the minimal interest in UFOs to know that there is just one project that people are all crazy about these days. You know it. I know it. And it is the AATIP project, right? It is a project that in December brought us a whole bunch of crazy shit last year. And it is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which we've come, and most people, because that damn name is too damn long, have come to know as AATIP. And the guy that was screwing around with the AATIP video was Luis Elizondo. Elizondo, after, smuggling out the videos, joined To the Stars Academy with Tom DeLonge. Well, that's great. Here's an article that's kind of alluding to the idea, and of course, the link is in the description, that maybe after all these videos came out, after all the news coverage, Fox, CNN, all these rubber dickers were out there with their mics in people's faces, that maybe after all of this, that finally somebody in the government was actually watching TV and saying, holy shit, Sherlock, there's something going on here. The article starts off by saying that the U.S. Armed Services Committee has been investigating the money that was spent on the X-Files type Pentagon project known as AATIP. Well, no shit. Shouldn't you be doing that? Shouldn't you, as people that have to do with the military, armed forces, who are supposed to be protecting us from these unknown flying objects, shouldn't you be investigating where the money came from, how it was spent, and what the fuck was the conclusion? Most of us kind of think logically, but some of us do not. And the way they make things appear, it appears that no one in government gives a shit about UFOs or what's flying over your heads. Apparently, people in politics are asking how much was spent of the taxpayers' money on the AATIP program, which started, as we know, from 2008 to 2012. The article alludes to the idea that apparently some of the officials in Congress were actually working along with scientists and Bigelow Aerospace. There you go. The space gigolo, Mr. Bigelow, has his hands in everything. It also continues to say that maybe some of these people actually handled debris from crashed objects, UFOs, and such. We know that's a rumor, that somewhere in Las Vegas there is a shitload of evidence, artifacts from UFOs that were crashed or whatever have you. I mean, who knows? Then we had this whole news about there being studies done on the type of metals and whether they were rare or not. I'm sorry, I can't buy any of this. If you read the article, if you go past the first maybe few paragraphs, because listen, I'm guilty of that too. I will read the first few paragraphs and say, "Oh my geez, this is the story I've been waiting for." Well, if you didn't, you would have been rubber dicked, because the truth is that what's happening here is that the author wrote this article based on a lot of things that Nick Pope has been saying. There's one sentence in this article that really stands out because it really tells you everything. And it says this, and I'm going to read it verbatim. Nick Pope, who probed the UFO phenomenon for the Ministry of Defense, believes the investigations by the U.S. Armed Services Committee could lead to a major public hearing, which would be a political bombshell. Now, you guys who know the podcast and know these reports pretty much know which part of that paragraph really hits home for me. for those of you who do not, I'm not going to let you just linger on waiting for me to tell you, is the fact that it says that Nick Pope probed the UFO phenomenon. Many people think he's still probing it for everything it's worth, and he probes it like a champ, apparently. The problem here is that this article is basing everything on hearsay, not only from Nick Pope, but it kind of says that there is talk about it. That Nick Pope has been hearing conversations about people in government saying that they need to find out what the heck is going on. But these are all private sources. None of them are public. None of them mean a damn thing to us. There are no names. There are no dates. There's nothing. Except for Nick Pope telling this author that shit's going to happen. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was rubber-dicked by this article. And maybe some of you were also. There's no solid evidence here of anything happening. And, what can you do? It is what it is. The one thing that might have saved this article in my eyes is that it says that Nick Pope actually said President Donald Trump has stayed quiet on the subject of UFOs. But then it comes back to rubber dick you anyway by saying that Hillary Clinton had indicated that she would request information on Area 51, which I don't think a single person on that's sitting under Area 51 or in it or on it or above it gives two shits about what Hillary Clinton wants to do about it because she's no fucks given out of here. But we'll have to sit around and see. Nick Pope, you rubber dicked us again. Let's see some names. Let's see something happen. And yes, I agree, as well as most of you do also, the government should be very, very interested in what these UFOs are. And if we have aircraft carriers and our fighter jets being outpaced, outmaneuvered above our skies, we have a problem. But the question is, who's going to have the nads to get up in front of a committee and say, stop fucking around with this rubber dickery. We need to know what the hell is up there. Who knows what? What evidence do we have? And do we need to bring Deuce Bigalow, the space gigolo, from Bigelow Aerospace before a committee to freaking tell us what the fuck he knows? Because I guarantee you, Elon Musk is not the alien. It's Deuce Bigalow. He got probed as a kid, and he's probing everyone else. The Armed Services Committee should bring in Deuce Bigalow in to testify as to what he's learned over the last few decades with all this research and all this data that he's gathering. Then we'll know what's really going on. Don't forget to follow the podcast. On Instagram, Manny Moonraker. The Facebook pages, Manny Moonraker, UFO Buster Radio. And on Twitter, at UFO Buster Radio. And let me tell you, Bugs, the UFO hunter, the Boston Terrier with an attitude, he's getting really popular on Instagram. So go ahead and follow me, because eventually he might take over the podcast. You might just hear a bunch of slobbering because he likes to lick himself a lot. But he's getting that popular. And if you have time, check out the Android app for UFO Buster Radio, UBR ufo-news. And let me know what you think. I've gotten some feedback. There is an update coming out this Wednesday. I'm hoping this Wednesday I can also finally get it into iTunes, the Apple Store, for the thousands of you who are on these iPhone devices and iPads, and actually have someone that listens on an iPod. I thought those things were extinct. I thank you guys for listening. I appreciate every single one of you. At the end of the month, we'll find out if UFO Buster Radio does get the nomination or the win for UFO and Politics at the 2018 Podcast Awards. I would keep you guys in tuned about that. I'll let you know. Hey, listen, I don't even care if I win. If I lost, it's okay. Voting has already finished. Let me just be honest. I'm glad that I got the nomination to be along with those other podcasts. That's a moment of pride for me. And I hope that you guys are proud that you've contributed in some way. If you went in there and nominated, or even if you're just listening, that somehow you contributed to us getting at least in there to be considered. And there's a level of pride in that for me, and it should be there for you as well. This is Manny Moonraker. I'm signing out. Check me out later on in the week. I'll be back again Thank you all for listening. Sayonara.